so proudly we hail, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land under the fray, and the home of the brave?
Good evening, everybody. Gary Rosenberg here, your host of the Freedom Network. So glad that you decided to join us once again this week. There's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. Well, welcome to the Freedom Network. You can reach us at timorgary@gmail.com anytime you want to. You can give us a call. The phone number is right up there on the screen for you to see. We have groups and we have pages, and Facebook, you are more than welcome to join them. Easiest way to find them is just send an email to timorgary@gmail.com, and I will just simply mail you back a link, and then you'll have it. Let's see. Let's get a few emails, and we'll see what's going on. And there is a lot going on, to be honest with you. It was difficult to get a show. I don't even think that I can fit it into the hour, but there's a lot out there. But there's a few things that we just need to highlight, that we need to talk about. There's local, and there's also national. There's state stuff. There's all kinds of stuff. Now, I want to keep it open. I know there's a lot going on with the NCommon Core group. More than welcome to call in any time with an update. We've emailed back and forth a few times. We'll get them on officially, hopefully for next week. But there's a lot going on. Now, the local elections are all over the place, and they're not just here in Northbridge. There are other areas of the country that are having local and national elections that we can definitely tap into. We're going to go over our Northbridge election results. We'll talk about that for a little while. Of course, this is where we're local to. This is where we are, where we're coming from. So we absolutely will cover that for all the locals that want to talk about it, because I'm one of them. I want to talk about it a little bit, so we'll get right into it. Let me do a few emails first, just a few. Greg says, Gary, I'm in trouble with this election. I'm a Democrat. I like Sanders, but the problem... Excuse me, I'm sorry. The problem is I'm not a crazy blind Democrat, but a real one. Okay, Greg, I'm listening. That said, I can't vote for Hillary because she is, as you like to say, the perfect example of everything that is wrong with America's politics. I have said that, and I will probably say it again, maybe even tonight. We're going to talk about her a little bit. But so what do? I can't see me voting for Trump, but will never vote for Hillary. Confused here, love the show, but don't always agree. But maybe I do more than I think. Well, hey, Greg, it's good to have you out there. Agree or disagree. We reply to them all, or we air them, and we disagree all the time. I have all kinds of email back and forth with different people. Let's see, Sandy, Gary, you know how many people voted in our town yesterday? That was Sandy, and I can't tell you how many others were looking for information. We got the information out to everybody, but I do have it here to share with you. We'll go over them in a minute. We got a do not use my name. Gary, our local ballot was a joke. There was zero competition, which means there was no debating the issues of our town. Now, see, I am okay with Charlie, and maybe I would have voted for him in a contested race, but I did not vote for any of them because I don't know for sure because there was never a contest. And worst of all, no real debate ever took place. Thanks. Read it if you want. Well, I mean, it's viable. I mean, sometimes you just want to even gut check your own people and just try to see them up there and see them, talking. Now, he was here. They've definitely have activity locally. And to be honest with you, it's the way I see it is we'll get into it. I wasn't thrilled looking at the ballot myself. There were, and I wasn't on it, and you weren't on it, and other people weren't on it. So there's only so much moaning I guess we can do. There are people that do step up to do it, and we don't always agree with them. I certainly don't always agree with them, but I do respect the fact that they do it. But I guess I got to agree with the emailer. It was kind of just a dismal looking ballot, if you will, except of course for the DPW, which we'll talk about. Paul comes in and says, Gary, you are your own party, man. I love how all over the place you are, but in reality, you're not all over the place when you think about it. You use one consistent guiding principle, freedom in the Constitution. That's why you fight with Democrats and why you fight with Republicans. I do. Because they don't look through that lens far too often. Breaths of fresh air. Thanks for the show. Thank you, Paul. Glad to have you out there. Robert, Gary, no go on your politics. We need to get a liberal in there to battle you. Robert, I'm game. Bring the liberal in. This whole show was supposed to be, when Tim first started and was looking to create a show, what he wanted was a liberal and a conservative, a point, counterpoint. We could never get one to stick, to come on. If there is anybody out there that wants to come on, even on a very regular basis, I am very open to that. It's very interesting, and I love to debate the issues. I love to do it. Anyway, you can come, Robert. You can come in. Well, call in. Pick up the phone on an item if that's what you feel motivated to do. I don't agree with most of what you say, but I do see your point sometimes, and I often try to guess which side of an issue you may come down on before the show. For the most part, I'm right, Gary, but sometimes you do surprise me. Thanks. All right, Robert. No problem. Glad you're out there. We got somebody on the line? We do. Well, let us go to the line. We'll hit this buttons. Hopefully I don't screw it up, as I always say. Good evening. You're on the Freedom Network. How are you?
Hey, good evening, Gary. Great show.
Hey, what's up, bud? How you doing?
Good. I'd like to start off by saying a big Northbridge thank you to you and all the Facebook pages and the good voters that came out and supported the new DPW that was really desperately needed, and hopefully, like you said, that they said at town meeting by fall of next year, they'll be able to use that facility and get those equipment in there and give them some better working conditions down there. And I just want to say hats off to the excellent staff at NCTV and all the master technicians there that helped get that video out for the taxpayers to see the horrible and prehistoric conditions down there that the good folks were working under. And I'm just very thankful that it passed, and wanted to say that appreciation. Quick note on the local election: I was surprised by a lot of blanks out there on the ballot, Gary.
Yes.
And it's like you said, that we need some more debate, and I guess we'll see what the next election brings. And the rumor I heard was only 900 voters out of 10,000 voters showed up, which is kind of sad. And on the other note, Gary, I was wondering if you've heard any more chatter on the meals tax.
I have not heard a lot of chatter. I was just going to start to touch on that, to be honest with you. A great segue, but I've just heard mixed. Some like it, some don't. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot of passion behind the like. So I think maybe there's some wiggle room there, but we're going to find out.
All right, Gary. Hey, I'll let you go, and thanks again, and stay safe and stay well, and thanks for everything you do for the town.
Thank you too, man. Thanks for being out there. All right, off he goes. There goes Barry. All right. Yeah, 869 voters, I think, is the unofficial thing. I don't know. There's so many results to elections. There's the unofficial, there's the early unofficial, then there's the one they're going to post, but they can't call it official, and then they finally post one. I'm a busy guy. No, I mean, I'm looking over the numbers here. It looks like a pretty small percentage. It really was a pretty small percentage. So let's do this. Let's talk about the DPW first, because I know that's hot on everybody's plate, if you will. But what was interesting about the DPW, there were some blanks. I think that people didn't see it on the bottom, to be honest with you. It was pretty small down there. So I think some of those are going to be missed. There were 68 blanks on that question. 68 blanks. There were 622 yeses and 179 on the noes. They won every precinct handedly. Nothing was even close, really. It wasn't even close. Precinct 1, there was a little bit of closeness in, but everything else was, and it really wasn't. I mean, it really wasn't. You're talking 100 points, but they got the most out of Precinct 1, the noes, tied with, I guess, 4 at 57 apiece. Now, this was a great example of what I have been talking about and moving to the middle, trying to find some common ground, okay? And that's what I'm trying to do. And we'll go through the rest of this ballot because I've got emails already come in. Hang on one sec, guys, because you know me in technology and my clumsy thumb. Anyway, yes, I will. I'll go over the ballot. We'll get you the yeses, the nos, and the blanks because it's very interesting and very telling in some cases. But I will say that in trying to move to the middle, I am a big no tax kind of a guy, and you folks all certainly know that. There are needs in our town. We have a very low tax rate. We know that. And I don't have a problem with that. I think that's pretty good. At the same time, there are needs that are within the town, and we always seem to get behind that 8 ball. Well, I'll tell you something. All towns are behind the 8 ball. It doesn't matter what your tax rate is. Okay, they're all hurting for cash. There is not a town that has enough money out there. So we got to get to a realistic point where we can meet in the middle. So what I've done is I went out, I voted for this DPW project. I thought it was a great way to do it as a debt exclusion, which really means that when it's paid off, it's over. You don't continue to pay for it. And we'll do that for some time. And there's other things we can probably do. Projects should all be done that way, in my opinion. We shouldn't raise taxes. We shouldn't go through a Prop 2.5 override if we want to build a DPW. We should get a cost for it. We should lay it out to the voters, and we should say, this is what it's going to cost. It's going to cost you $100 over 5 years, or $300 or over 5 years, or $500 over 5 years, or $1,000 or whatever it's going to be. And that's how we should fund it. Because then we're not raising the levy limit, and we're allowing our town to grow where it needs to grow, okay, to fix where it needs to fix. But how does it really grow? Well, you know what? That low tax rate may have to stay low, but it may have to move a little bit. And I understand that. I know it's not a popular way to see it or to view it. But the reality of the situation is that you're not going to get the state to stop with unfunded mandates in the schools, for example. You're not going to do it from a town perspective. Now, you can do it if you go out and you start voting for different people, but you already have been. And, you know, we have reps that are in there, and what are they doing about that and all that kind of stuff. And I'd love to know what they're doing about all that, to be quite honest with you. What meaningful steps we're taking toward getting rid of those. Now, we got a lot of money since Charlie Baker has been in office, to be honest with you, and our reps have done a really commendable job in helping us secure funds. And we've done pretty well by them. So I think that you are starting to see a little bit of a change. We want to have it immediately, but we are seeing a little bit of a change. But that's going to take some time. If you couple that with the fact that we do have ongoing issues, right? And we know that we have unfunded liabilities. We've got all kinds of things. We've got raises going out because it's very important to give out raises. There's several, and I get it. Everybody needs a raise, but you know what? If you work for the public and the government's saying that if you're on Social Security, you don't get a raise, I don't think anyone that works for the public then should get a raise. How's that? Not one penny. If you're not going to give people that paid into a system to take care of them more money, then how are you going to give people that work for the system more money? And I would take that top down. It's just my opinion. But in any event, I understand that there may need to be some movement. And I may even be willing to, and I am willing to sit down and talk about what that movement might look like. Realistic movement. Not pie in the sky movement. So I went in good faith and I went out and voted for this because it's something the town needs. It's a great way to fund it. Like I said, I like that way of doing business. And what happens? Now what's going to happen? Like I said online when we were talking about this, it's your move. It's your move. I want to get rid of that stupid, insane sales tax extra on food. I don't care how little it is. It's not the money. They're trying to sell you on a $50 million unfunded liability or whatever these stupid numbers I keep hearing are, and they want to bring in $100 million. That's what they want to bring in. I mean, $100,000. I'm sorry. $100,000. Now, give me a break. First of all, that's just a scare tactic. Get a quick $100,000 and push it in. I know people are desperate to put money in the town. That's why I'm willing to talk, and I think there's a lot of other people that are willing to talk. But I'm not gonna make bones about it. I do expect you folks on that other side of let's raise taxes $3 a thousand. You folks, I want to talk with you. I want to talk with you, and there's others that I think may want to talk with you. But we need you to help us get rid of that new tax stream. The United States of America, from the very top of the federal government to Northbridge, Massachusetts, has plenty of vehicles, okay, plenty of vehicles to tax people and to take their money and to do as they will with it. It's not the amount, it's the principle. It's the principle, okay? It's very difficult for me to support any tax increase because there already are so many taxes that we pay. On every $10 that you earn, how much do you really think you keep? It's not even just after they destroy you in your paycheck and you've got, you made $1,500 and you're doing real good, right? And you wind up with $1,000, maybe less. Then what? You go, every penny you spend is taxed. Every dollar you spend, no matter where you're spending it, it's taxed in some way, except I guess if you're buying clothing, right? And food at the market. When does it end? When does it end? When? You get gas, you pay tax. You buy anything, for the most part, you pay tax. We're paying fees that are just ridiculous. We pay tolls on roads that have been paid for. I mean, in every bill you get, your phone bill has tax. Everything. It's everywhere. Isn't it enough? So I'm asking you, move to the middle with me. Let's get to the middle. The middle is not going to be where you stand. You have to accept that. And the middle isn't going to be where I was. And I have to accept that. But if we're ever going to meet in the middle, if you want to get something done, that's what we got to do. So if you're willing to do that, email. Get in touch. I'm out here. Facebook message me, whatever. Get out on ABN with Elizabeth. Let's start a conversation about it. I'm not going to go kicking and dragging. I'm not going to do it. I'm not. So it's your move. You got the building. I advocated for it. I was for it. And I went out and I voted for it. Now I want to get rid of this tax. And I'm dead serious. I want to get rid of this tax. I will tomorrow agree to replace it with an override to replace just that $100,000. But that would be puny and small. So maybe there's some middle ground there where we can actually infuse some money in. And then we wait and we pay off this DPW. And then maybe we start anew and figure out what's the next project we want to do in town. This is a problem that happened over decades. It's not going to be fixed in years. Okay, so out of the precincts, we had some pretty poor showings, as the caller had alluded to. I thought that what was interesting was Blank did really well, okay, everywhere. Blank was just kicking butt all over the place. So what that's got to say is that people that went out there, okay, to these great 868 people plus me, making 169, 869. We have and a lot of blanks, okay? In the selectman 3-year term, we had James and Charles in there. Looks like blanks had 471 votes. Write-ins had 31. It's very interesting. I'm not gonna kid you. It's very, 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 very interesting. The town moderator, Harold, he come in with some votes. He got 554 votes. He was uncontested. He had write-ins at 50 write-ins. Blanks threw him a little bit of a game, I guess you could say, with 265. School committee on the 3-year term, blanks were again a factor at 226, but that was Joe got the 638. It looks like, so that was good. That was good, and some write-ins there, 5 write-ins. Let's see, Berkowitz on the planning board. He had trouble with the blanks. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. The blanks beat him, 10-12 to 698, with 28 other write-ins. Isn't that something? How is the 10-12? I just noticed on these numbers, there's got to be something wrong there. There's got to be something wrong there. That doesn't make any sense. As a matter of fact, looking at the math, it isn't. It is a typo. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, no, maybe that math does add up, but I just don't see it. Only reason I say that is because that gives you over 1,700 total votes in that category. And there was only 869. Well, let's see what we can do. It's but it's because people were doing some other write-ins, is what it was. But not a whole lot of them. Let's see, the trustees, memorial, all these were write-ins. Although James Gallagher did well, very well. What else do we got here? Nothing else. There's nothing. Blanks beat everybody. Blanks beat everybody because there was nobody. I think. Did I get everybody? I did. And then, of course, on the exclusion that we had here, blanks did come in at 68. I got this type is small. I'm sorry, folks. And for all you non-locals, I know these are jargon numbers, but people want to hear them. The yeses were 622. The noes were 179. So that was pretty good. And I think that out of the 68, I bet you over half of them were. They just didn't know. They didn't know. All right. Let's move on. You want to talk about it, email in. No problem. No problem whatsoever. I see a couple of thank you emails for getting the numbers. But some of the numbers look a little weird. But without glasses on, I can't really see them. So, and I could zoom this thing in. But let me tell you, when I zoom it in, then sometimes I can't make it go back the way I want it. So I'm not gonna. But I'll post something. I'll post them out there. I think Elizabeth's probably got them out there on ABN already. They must be out there already. Anyway, let's move on. Bump-a-da-bump-a-da-bump. What do we got here? Oh, Trump. He's starting to lay out his plans a little bit for who he wants. I see a little bit here and there. Most recently, he has released names. He's released a list of people that he would like to look at and say, here's my list of people I'm going to look at for the Supreme Court. Now, this is very, very interesting. What would Hillary's list look like, I wonder? I don't even think that she'd do this. I don't think she could do this. But it's a bold move, and I like it. It's a good move, honestly. It really is, because I'm going to tell you something. He needs to lay out a plan. And I know it's on his website, but people that don't support him first, and aren't trumpets, as I like to call them, are not going to seek out the info. Once again, as I say about local politics, you must bring the info to the people in the platform and form that they want. If they want it emailed, you got to email it. If they want it on TV, you got to put it on TV. If they want it in the mail, you got to put it in the mail. That's what you got to do. So, I've been saying that he needs to do some more name dropping and some more solid plans, because he's supposed to be the guy, right? He's the guy. He's going to build the best winning team. Well, let's see the team. Well, I guess he's starting to call us on that, because he's starting to show you who his team's going to be. We can see, I mean, it's been all over the news, different people that he's been floating for different things. What I like about his list are two things, all right? He has on that list someone who is completely against him, first of all. He's completely against his candidacy, and as a matter of fact, I believe he wears a button, or maybe it's a bumper sticker, that says anyone but Trump. And he's aware of this. But he still feels that he wants the right people in the right places. He doesn't really care what he thinks about you. Why does he want you there? So the second reason I like what he's done is because he followed it up with a statement. Trump, and I'll quote him, says that the list is, quote, is representative of the kind of constitutional principles I value. And he also said that as president, he would use it, quote, as a guide to nominate our next United States Supreme Court justices. Well, Donald, you just for the first time got my attention because you're talking about the Constitution. So you just got my attention, Donald. You got it pretty good, too, because this seems to me like a statement that someone that gives a darn about the United States freedoms would say. Now, it could be all lip service. Who knows? I don't know. But I do know what I'm getting with the other one. Oh, I know what I'm getting with Hillary. But don't forget, folks. Hang on 1 second. I got a tab here with election results. All right, Hillary has got 1,768 delegates. She needs 2,383 to go. This is pretty interesting. This is really, 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 really interesting because what's happening is this. Sanders ain't going away. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it. We will. Hillary Clinton continues to enjoy her lead, right? She's got these superdelegates intact. She looks like she's going to be the winner. She's got 525 superdelegates. What if some defect? Do the Democrats have a brain to think on their own when they're that high up in the party, or does their brain shut off and they just do as they're told like soldiers? I think it's the latter. But wait, Bernie Sanders, this guy won't go away, and I love to see you really struggling with that in the party. I must say it's interesting. No matter what the party does, he just seems to be right there. Remember the movie What About Bob? Remember when he wouldn't leave? He couldn't get rid of him, obviously, if you saw the movie. Remember when he opens the door? He's not gone, and he opens the door, and he's never gone. Bill Murray was Bob. It's fantastic. Great movie. Anyway, that's who he's like. There may be hope for the socialist after all. I don't know. I'm looking at numbers as we speak. Polling data just streaming in here. I mean, imagine being in a party, and more important, being loyal to a party, right? Then you have... This is what blows my mind. Bernie Sanders. Guys, I'm going to let you in on a secret. Listen, come close. Come to the TV screen. Listen to me. Bernie Sanders is a socialist. Are you aware of that? Are you aware that you're in the United States of America and this is not a socialist country? Okay. You can back up now. What are you doing? What are you doing, people? This isn't a socialist country. You don't have the right to make this a socialist country. You have no right to do that. Go to one. If you want to live under socialism, go live under it. Go to one of the Scandinavian countries that you love so much and enjoy life there. They'll take you. You're going to have to go through an immigration process, though, unlike you would in America, this awful place I know. Bernie said a few things that I like, all right, but very, very few, folks, very few. I get it. He wants the money out of politics. I get it. That's how he's hooking everybody in. This is a little hook. He's got the kids. Like, he's a puppet master with the kids. Anyway, I'm sure Stalin had a few good ideas, too. I think Castro must have had one or maybe two good ideas. Many South American dictators, I'm sure, had great ideas and all spoke about socialism and being for the people. In other socialist countries all over the world, I'm sure that these leaders have had great ideas. Karl Marx had great ideas. Doesn't mean that what they wanted, A, is practical, and B, is even allowed or should be allowed in America. It's America! We don't elect socialists. I don't get it. It just makes no sense to me. America was founded to establish a small government that didn't intrude on your life with a lot of freedom. Not a large nanny state. Not in any way. Not in any way, shape, or form. So you got to get off this bandwagon. You want to be an American, you can't be a socialist. Okay, because you're going to get fought every single step of the way. But I will tell you, if I had to pick between these two absolutely unworthy people to even be in politics in America, never mind leading the nation, I would pick Bernie 10 out of 10 times. And I'll tell you why. How do people support Hillary? I don't get it. There's a lot of things I don't understand today. As you can see, I'm very non-understanding today. I'm reading blogs and I'm reading news articles from all over the world, and I see these things, and it blows my mind. It just blows my mind. Go to Scandinavia. Go. There's 25 million or so people that live throughout Scandinavia. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. They have a socialist style government, and it's the best place in the world, because you won't listen to real news about it. You can Google that, you know. But I don't want to burst anyone's bubble. I would rather the socialists leave America, and I'm going to tell you why. Socialism is dangerous. It's very dangerous. In a populace this big, with a government this powerful, and with a government that is bent on control, you don't give them more control. This isn't Scandinavia. We're not in Denmark. We're in Northbridge, Mass. The beautiful NCTV studios. I don't know how people support her. She would never get my vote. She just would never get my vote. I'm going to play a clip for you in a minute. And it's going to be pretty much a top of the list on why I just would turn around. And there's a million reasons why. It's up at the top. I can't really even say it's the top because there's so many just disgusting things that this woman has done in her life. But let's talk about the person Hillary thinks is so great. You know, I mean, this is why I'm going to play a clip for you. Most of you that are out here know who Robert Byrd is. If not, I'll give you a little rundown. He was elected in office in the late 50s. Early 60s, late 50s, but I know he was there until June of 2010. He was the leader of the Senate and a powerful Democrat. Powerful Democrat. Did I say he was powerful? He filibustered against the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Many Democrats were against that. That was the Republicans that passed that, right? Remember all those? Remember all those? Remember the first Civil Rights Act that was killed just to be rebranded as Kennedy's? No, we can't talk about that. I'm not talking about that. We would do a show on that. I'd love to do a show on that one. There's great info out there on that. Anyway, he filibustered against the 1964 Civil Rights Act. He supported the Vietnam War. In the early 40s, he recruited 150 of his friends and associates. And he created a new chapter of the Ku Klux Klan, of the KKK. He's down there in Virginia playing KKK. So what Byrd says is that the Klan came to him and they said that you're a inspiring person and we'd love to have you involved with us and whatnot. And Byrd gets these visions of grandeur that wow, I think that I had the quote here. Suddenly lights flashed in my mind. Someone important had recognized my abilities. I was only 23 to 24 years old and the thought of a political career had never really hit me. But strike me that night it did. So what he did is he started this chapter. He recruited the people into it, his friends. We'll talk about that in a minute. And he made a chapter. And when they needed to elect the top officer, and this is the exalted Cyclops, that's interesting. That's interesting. He won. They all voted for him. They all voted for him. Now, what's interesting is he wrote a letter. Robert Byrd. This is Hillary's friend, by the way. Don't forget. This is Hillary's friend. This is him. Byrd wrote to a segregationist Mississippi senator, Biblo. This is, I got this off of Archives. I think it's just archives.com. But this is his letter. Political Archives, maybe is what I'll get you a link if you want one. Just send it in, because I had to copy and paste it. There was too much to sift through. I shall never fight in the armed forces with a Negro by my side. Rather, I should die 1,000 times and see Old Glory trampled in the dirt, never to rise again, than to see this beloved land of ours become degraded by race mongrels, a throwback to the blackest specimen from the wilds. That's from Robert Byrd. That's from Robert Byrd, folks. That's from the big wig, the Cyclops of the KKK down in his area. In 46, he wrote a letter to a Grand Wizard. And in it, and I quote him, "The Klan is needed today as never before. I'm anxious to see its rebirth here in West Virginia and in every state in the nation." You know, he ran in 52. He said after about a year he became disinterested, quit paying his dues, dropped his membership in the organization, and he's never been interested in the Klan. He's joined only because he felt it offered excitement and it was anti-communist. All right. And he goes on. I mean, there's lots here. You can even go, I mean, and you know what's funny is everyone has the same story. You can go from Wikipedia to Fox News to CNN to anywhere you want to go. The archives where I went and got the letters, and it's all the same stories. It's you know, it's you got your consistency there, right? Oh man, and of course as he got older, he was upset and all that. There was another quote: "Be sure to avoid the Ku Klux Klan if running for office. Don't get that albatross around your neck. Once you've made that mistake, you inhibit your operations in the political arena." And then he said, "I knew he was wrong. Intolerance had no place in America. I apologize 1,000 times and will ever." All right, no, you cannot listen. You cannot erase what happened, nor can one say that you only joined because of the reasons that you stated for political aspiration. The letter you wrote tells all. Your quotes and words tell all. He was a bigot. And you don't have 150 friends. There wasn't even Facebook. What do you think? He was on Facebook with his friends? Is that what you think? Hey, come on down. We're all going to wear sheets and burn crosses and we're going to hate people because of the color of their skin. Total zero, this guy. Total zero. He recruited these people. He went out and found them. He makes it seem as though he had a little brief encounter. He was the main man. He was the leader, the Cyclops. The Democrats made him the longest serving member in congressional history at 56 years, 10 months. And here, you're going to go vote for Hillary Clinton. Let's look at what Hillary Clinton has to say about Robert Byrd. I'm disgusted.
Today, our country has lost a true American original, my friend and mentor, Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility, and I will remember him for many things, but most of all, for a heartfelt comment he made to me in the dark days following the attack on our country on 9/11. My state of New York was reeling, and we were scrambling to provide support and relief. "Think of me as the third senator from New York," he said, and he meant it. Thanks to the leadership of Senator Byrd, who chaired the Appropriations Committee, New Yorkers and Americans got the help we needed. I will never forget his devotion and his friendship in that critical time. It is almost impossible to imagine the United States Senate without Robert Byrd. He was not just its longest serving member, he was its heart, its soul, and its historian. From my first day in the Senate, I sought out his guidance, and he was always generous with his time and his wisdom. I admired his tireless advocacy for his West Virginia constituents, his fierce defense of the Constitution and the traditions of the Senate, and his passion for a government that improves the lives of the people it serves. As Secretary of State, I continued to rely on his advice and counsel. I've been grateful for the support he provided as a leader of the Appropriations Committee to our diplomats and development workers as they serve our country and advance our interests all over the world. Robert C. Byrd led by the power of his example, and he made all of us who had the honor of serving as his colleagues better public servants and better citizens. After more than 5 decades of service, he left an indelible imprint on the Senate, on West Virginia, and on our nation. We will not see his like again. I am heartened to know that Senator Byrd is now reunited with his beloved Irma, the high school sweetheart who became his wife of nearly 70 years, the love and light of his life. My thoughts and prayers are with their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Robert C. Byrd left such a legacy.
was a great, great man. I mean, when he wasn't running around, okay, dressed up as a KKK member, burning crosses and probably hunting down black people to hang by trees, he was a great guy. Great, someone you should admire. If you're voting for Hillary Clinton, you are out of your mind, is what you are. You're out of your mind. You have been brainwashed out of your mind. That video should be all over television. But it's hidden. Now you got Trump or her. Trump can be a complete ass. Can I say that? I don't know if I can, but I did. But he can be one. I don't disagree there. Of course he can be. But is calling someone names as bad as recruiting for an organization that seeks to kill people or to keep people down, deny them rights, and things of that nature that Hillary Clinton supports? What the heck is going on? I don't understand this. Why has the party had such a pass on this? We all know why, because the media is biased. The media is set up to brainwash you in a certain way. Why? Why does this happen? Why do you let this happen? Now I'm getting crazy. I'm getting crazy. Donald Trump called someone fat. He called someone else a name, a woman ugly. And he gets killed in the media. Killed! And killed by Clinton. Killed by that wonderful woman that supports that piece of trash. Hillary's got this tape out there and nothing. I am offended. I am absolutely offended. I think I need to go to my safe place. Bernie Sanders, where's my safe spot? Isn't there a safe spot around here? Aren't we supposed to have one by law? Some kind of safe place or something? I don't know how she gets a pass. How can anyone support Hillary? In all areas, she has issues. All around one thing, folks. Ethics. Supporters just baffle me. The supporters absolutely, positively baffle me. They baffle me. I don't get it. I don't know. That was my... I just don't know. You know, there's a lot of fun facts about the presidents. I wanted to get some time to go over them a week ago, and there was just no time. Let's go over a few. You want to go over a few? Lighten it up a little bit? Or you want me to keep screaming about Hillary? She's a nothing. She's a deadbeat. That's what she is. She's a liar. She's a cheater. She's a womanizer. She has helped to suppress information about rape because she wanted to help her husband, but yet she's out there saying that she's going to be the number one woman's advocate. So you get a guy that called a woman a fat pig, and you've got somebody that actively kept people out of court on rape allegations. So I don't think the woman issue, if that's your thing, really, it doesn't really matter. As Hillary says, what difference does it make? What up? Zero, zilcho, zippo, the worst, the absolute. One of the emailers said, like I always say, the prime example of everything that is wrong in politics today is right there. Put her face right there. That's what's wrong with it. It's the machine, and she is the machine, folks. She is the absolute result of appointment, not election. My God, she had to move to New York, find a weak seat, and blow some guy away to get in the Senate. Come on. This is just absolute insanity. It's absolute insanity. All right, let's see. Let me calm down for a minute. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Hang on. I got an email just popped in here. Gary. Hang on. Let me open it up. Gary. I agree 100%. Hillary is a zero. Do you know anyone voting for her? Because I don't. Well, you know, I do know one person voting, I think. One person I know voting for her. Aggravates the you-know-what out of me. No, I just don't understand it. All right, let's look at some people. Let's get some fun facts out of this, because somebody had emailed these to me and thought that they would be interesting. And I read through them, and they were very interesting. So they just go through the presidents right in order. So they start, obviously, with Washington. Although you do know that a fun fact is that before the Constitution and all that kind of thing, situation happened, don't forget that Washington was president, but it wasn't until 1789, I think. I don't have all the dates and facts and figures, but I've read up on enough for this stuff. We should be able to get through this segment okay. But there were three others, I believe, even before him, that we're technically the president. But it's a whole nother show, folks. It's a whole, just Google it. Just Google who was the first real president of the United States of America. And depending upon what you call it, the United States, trust me, this is the stuff that really interests me. I love this stuff because I love the history of it. I think the more you learn about the people, the easier it is to understand what they really wanted, what they really, 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 really wanted. I mean, don't forget, George Washington wanted liberalism. You can find that quote. He said the more liberal it will become, it will be better for the people. But his definition of liberalism and Bernie Sanders' definition of liberalism, they're not the same scales. You can't weigh that against each other because they're completely different scales. You have to understand what they were coming from and what they wanted to allow. This is where the Democrats had moments of lucidity, to be quite honest with you, in the past. But anyway, I digress. We have to get through this. I won't get through 3 of them at this rate. We only have like 9 minutes left, I think. 8 minutes now, maybe. All right, George Washington. All right, so let's see. His vice president, that doesn't matter. John Adams, if you want to know, I'm sure you do. Let's see. All right, the fun fact on him. Teeth were made from elephant and walrus tusks, not from wood. I think we all have learned that already, right? Didn't everyone learn that? I think we learned that. We knew that for a while. That was weak. All right, John Adams, right from here. Let's see, Thomas Jefferson, I believe, was his VP. I think I know most of them. First to live in the White House. Thomas Jefferson. Now, he had 2. He had 2, didn't he? 2 vice presidents, I think. Well, we're just talking here. You're welcome to chime in with an email or a call if you have a fun fact about a president. But he did have 2 vice presidents, I believe. And on here it says he spoke 6 different languages. James Madison, one of my favorites. James Madison also had a deuce. 2 difference. Smallest president. He was only 5'4". He weighed less than 100 pounds. Now you know why he wanted everyone carrying guns so bad, huh? He was a little dude. He was a little guy. All right. Monroe died on the 4th of July, 1831. Following both John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, who died on July 4th, 1826. Isn't that interesting? We know John Quincy Adams was obviously the son of John Adams. Andrew Jackson was the first president to ever ride in a train. I love this. I don't know about you, but I love this kind of stuff because it kind of takes you through time as you go through the presidents. Van Buren, look at him. He was the first president born an American citizen. All before him were born in the British colonies. Martin Van Buren. 1837, 1841. Isn't that something? Took that long. Obviously. William Henry Harrison, president for only 31 days when he died of pneumonia, which put John Tyler in after him. Had 15 children. 15 kids. Wow. Polk, first president to serve a nation from coast to coast. First president to be able to say we have both shores. Zachary Taylor. Never voted for a president. I don't know how they'd even know that. How would you even know that? Maybe you would. I don't know. What do I know? Fillmore, first president to have a stove and running water in the White House. We take a lot of stuff for granted, folks. Interesting. Pierce memorized his entire inaugural speech, over 3,300 words. Isn't that something? James Buchanan never married. His niece was the White House hostess. Big Abe Lincoln, the tallest president, first to be assassinated. Imagine if you put Lincoln next to Madison. Andrew Johnson was buried wrapped in an American flag with a copy of the Constitution. I'm down. That's how you can do that to me. Make sure that happens, Troy, will you? Thank you. Ulysses S. Grant was fined $20 for speeding with his horse and carriage. See, they were taking money from you. And he was the president, and he was. Imagine that kind of accountability, huh? You don't see nothing like that today, do you? Rutherford Hayes, first president to use a phone. His phone number? What do you think his phone number was? What do you think? Nothing? No guesses? 1. You want Rutherford Hayes? You pick up the phone. You press 1. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I'm not going to lie to you. That's pretty cool. James Garfield could write with both hands at the same time in different languages. I mean, come on. You can't make that up, right? You can't make that up. Let's see. Chester Arthur changed his pants several times a day. He owned 80 pair of pants. What the heck? I got 20. That's not that impressive. Grover Cleveland, first and only president married in the White House. Benjamin Harrison, first president to have electric lights and a Christmas tree in the White House. Grandson of William H. Harrison. Grover Cleveland, first and only president ever to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. So William McKinley, I'm sorry. What did I say, McKinney? Is that what I said? I used to know a kid named McKinney. That's funny. William McKinley, first president to use campaign buttons. Oh, we got you to blame, huh? Roosevelt, youngest person ever to be president. Taft, heaviest president, 332 pounds. We have ourselves a winner. Oh, this was a good list, Mr. Emailer. I'm happy you put this in. Woodrow Wilson dreamed of being a stage performer. Warren Harding gambled away a set of White House china. Come on, Warren. Calvin Coolidge, only president born on the 4th of July. Herbert Hoover spoke Chinese to his wife to keep their stories private. That's interesting. Roosevelt, Franklin D., only president to serve more than 2 terms. I don't believe in that. I think there should be term limits for every damn one of them. And that never should have happened. I know. I didn't know. I wasn't around. I wasn't alive. Blah, 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 blah. I get it. Harry Truman read every book in his hometown library. Dwight D. Eisenhower, commander of Allied forces during World War II. We all know that. John F. Kennedy, youngest elected president, first Catholic president. Didn't they just say that someone was the... Oh, I don't know. You got to watch some of this stuff. Lyndon B. Johnson was an auto mechanic and a teacher before being the president. Gives you a little grip on reality when stuff like, when you actually, you have a job like that. Richard Nixon. Recommended to play the Miami Dolphins in Super Bowl 6. Interesting. Well, I mean, there's so much on Nixon. Gerald Ford held his daughter's high school prom at the White House. That must have been cool for those kids, huh? I know, we got to get out of here really soon. What about it? Ronald Reagan was the oldest president. Who did I skip there? Wait a minute. After 4, we got Carter, right? Yeah. First president to be born in a hospital. Jeez. George Bush survived 4 plane crashes. Clinton played the saxophone on national TV and had oral sex in the White House. First time it was proven. George Bush had a collection of over 250 signed baseballs, and Barack Obama, the first African American to become president. That's a great list. And this was a great show. Keep the emails coming. Keep them coming. Yeah, I'm yelling at you. This is the Freedom Network. My name is Gary Rosenberg. We have a lot of fun doing the show. We're glad that you folks stay involved. The emails coming in now. I'll reply to them after the show. Thank you. Have a good night.